Welcome back. It's time now to have a look in more detail what the assessment questions look like. In this video we're going to look at what the assessment questions for word choice look like in your prelim exam and also in your SQA National 5 assessment, which happens every May. Let's look at the questions straight away. Here's a sample question. Look at lines 1 to 6. Explain how two examples of the writer's word choice make the teacher's emotions clear. Now, we need to know how much effort, how much time and how much effort to put into this question, and the SQA helps us here. If you look at the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you'll see a number appearing. That's the number of marks that this question is worth. Now, marks for any question, not just word choice, can range from 1 to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 marks. Word choice questions tend to come in multiples of 2, so it could be a 2-mark question, a 4-mark question, and very occasionally I have seen a 6-mark question in a prelim for word choice. So this is a 4-mark question. Now, every 2 marks is looking at one word, so if it's a 4-mark question, I know I need to look at 2 separate words in this question. But where do I look for the answer? That's my next issue. Well, I know I need to look back at the passage, and here's the beginning of the passage. The teacher closed the door quietly behind her and exhaled. She paused for a moment, staring at the pile of work on her desk. Would it ever end? She trudged to her seat, trying not to think of how late she would be home that evening and dreading the tasks she'd put off for so long. How do I know if that's the right section, if that's lines 1 to 6? Well, if you look at the left-hand side of the paragraph, the SQA helps us again, and they put in line numbers every 5 lines. So line 5, line 10, 15, 20, and so on are all marked all the way up to the end of the passage. So it's crucial that you answer from the right section. If I accidentally looked at the wrong part and wrote a really good answer using the correct techniques and formulas, I would unfortunately get 0. So I must look at the right section. Now, here is a wonderful little formula that you can use forever for word choice. You can use it in National 5 and even on into higher. So the next slide is really, really, really important. Word choice equals quote plus meaning plus suggestions. And note that I've underlined the S. It's not one suggestion, it's suggestions. Word choice equals quote plus meaning plus suggestions. So there are 3 steps involved there. Step 1 is quote the word using quotation marks. Please use quotation marks. So many people leave them out. Step 2 is mention the simple basic meaning of the word. That's that first window. When we looked at the 2 windows in the earlier videos, that first window is what does the word mean? And the third step is that second window, the whispers, the suggestions. Write down more than one suggestion, please. Write down as many as you can think of in the time. Now we're going to use this formula to answer that question that we looked at a moment ago. I've also done up a worksheet, so you don't need to write any of this down. You'll be able to download and print the worksheet later. So I just want you to focus in on what I'm explaining about how to answer the question or showing you. Okay, so back to our question. Below we have our formula, and let's get started. Let's look for the first word. Now I'm going to draw onto this page to help you see and visualize what I'm thinking. So I'm going to use the pen and I'm going to use the red pen. So the first thing I need to do is I need to find a word that stands out that helps show me the teacher's emotions. So I need to understand this question. It's about teacher's emotions, that's feelings. The teacher might be happy, sad, angry, upset, delighted, all these different emotions. So I need to figure out from reading the passage. So I start off. Does this first sentence tell me anything about her emotions? The teacher closed the door quietly. That word quietly might help me. Behind her and exhaled. Okay. It's giving me a hint. I'm thinking if she exhaled, that's that breathing out. I wonder how she's feeling. I'm starting to get an idea. Let's go on to the next sentence. She paused. Again, I'm getting suggestion. Why did she pause? What emotion would make her pause? For a moment, staring at the pile of work on her desk. So that word staring again helps me. Would it ever end? She trudged to her seat. That's a word we looked at earlier. Trying not to think of how late she would be home that evening and dreading the task she'd put off for so long. Lots of words there, but I need to choose the best ones. So I think for starters, as we've already looked at this word trudged, I can use this to answer my question. So for one of my 4 marks, remember my marks are down here in the bottom right. For one of my 4 marks, I just need to quote that word, trudged. And that gets me a mark straight away at National 5, which is wonderful. Now, I need to go through my steps. Quote the word, trudged. What does it mean? Well, I remember, because I read this word in the past, that to trudge means to kind of walk with heavy steps. It's, it's difficulty. And what emotion is that leading me to? I would say if the teacher's trudging to her desk, bearing in mind all the other information we have here, she's probably feeling tired, anxious, depressed, worried, something along those lines. So I can now write that down in the correct format because I've done my 3 steps. And it looks a little bit like this. The word trudged, meaning to walk with heavy steps, so I've put in my simple meaning there, suggests that the teacher is exhausted and perhaps depressed. It also suggests that she is dispirited and unhappy. So I get 1 mark for trudged, and all 3 of these words, depressed, dispirited, unhappy, any of those would have gotten the marks. But because I've written 3 down, I'm guaranteeing myself, rather than just putting 1 down. Perhaps if I just said that she's exhausted, well, is exhaustion really an emotion? Could argue that possibly, but I don't think it's strong enough. But that's a good answer there. That's a very good answer, and that gets me 2 of the 4 marks. So let's go back to our question and look for a second word. So we finished with trudged. We did that already. We think we've got our 2 marks from there. We need to find a second word. Let's keep reading. Try not to think of how late she would be home that evening and dreading the task she's put off for so long. Now, my eye is drawn straight to this word, dreading. So I'm going to quote it. I'm going to use this as my second word here. Okay? And again, I'm getting a mark straight away just for the quotation marks, which I need to put in my answer, not on the passage. Now, I go through my steps. Quote the word, dreading. Step number 1, finished. Step number 2, mention the simple basic meaning of the word. Well, dread is the idea of fearing something, to be afraid of something. So I can use that as my simple definition. And step 3 is to write down more than 1 suggestion. So what's it suggesting about our emotions? Well, I've kind of mentioned in the definitions that idea of anxiety, worry, fear. These are all emotions. So how does that look like when I write it down? The word dreaded, meaning to feel extremely worried, suggests that the teacher is afraid and anxious. It also suggests that she fears she won't be able to complete the work. Sorry, that shouldn't be there. Now, let's have a look at how that works in terms of the marker. How would it appear to me? So if I'm here as the teacher, marking at home in the evening after school, this pops up on my screen, the word choice question to mark. This is a very easy one to mark for me because they very clearly marked the word. So trudged gets a mark. So there's 1 mark there for trudged. And then I read through my definition, meaning to walk with heavy steps. Good, they understand the word. Suggests that the teacher is exhausted. That's okay. Perhaps depressed. I like that. It also suggests that she is dispirited and unhappy. This candidate clearly knows what the word trudged mean and is able to link it to these emotions. So 2nd mark for there. So there's another mark. And I do the same down here. I'm seeing great. They've quoted 1 word. They haven't quoted too many words. And linking further down here, getting the idea of fear. And I had anxiety as well. So 1 mark for dreaded. Sorry, that's a number 1. 1 mark for the explanation, and that gives me my total of 4 marks. So this candidate scores 100%. Moving on to this. So here's my gift to you. I have made all of this into a nice, easy to read, straightforward worksheet or cheat sheet. This is all you will need to remind you when you're revising of how to answer a close reading question. So it's a PDF available in the download section of the course, and just to show you what it looks like, the PDF, when you download it, you'll be able to zoom in, zoom out, scroll down, but most importantly print it. And I've put the important sections in purple. So I put bold where you're getting the marks, non-bold where it's still important to write it down, and you've got, importantly, the formula that I want you to remember. Word choice equals quote plus meaning plus suggestions with an S at the end. word choice equals quote plus meaning plus suggestions, steps explained, sample question with the passage, and its full sample answer. And I'm hoping that will set you off on the right track for word choice. We still need to do a little bit more practice, but we have the building blocks of answering any word choice question we can possibly be given by the SQA. Important message to remember from this video is use this formula now that you have it every single time you answer a word choice question. If you use it every single time, it will become second nature, so that by the time you're sitting your prelim, by the time you're sitting the exam in May, it will happen almost automatically, and all you'll have to concentrate on really is finding the correct words in the beginning. Then the formula will kick in and you'll write down lots of great suggestions, and hopefully you'll get full marks. Hope you find the worksheet useful. I hope you find the formula useful. And let's move on then to looking at some further examples.